into. But I do think that from, the perspective of human rights and the perspective of international human rights law, justice needs to happen. The two-state solution is, first of all, now, it's clearly not going to happen. I think finally people in the sort of so-called international community and these kind of policy making positions are finally, being forced to face the fact that the colonization of the West Bank has come to the point where it's just, this two-state solution is just like this mirage. It's an illusion. And it always was unjust because it was based on the idea that despite the fact that this was, all Palestinian land practically, that somehow, you guys just divide up the land amongst, the way we say 50-50, and then everything will be fine. This is a clearly unjust solution. Certainly an exclusively Jewish state would not be just in any way, shape, or form. So I think we could just, throw that out the window. One democratic state, yes, I think that sounds great. And it looks, in principle, it sounds great. I think from the perspective of being a human rights lawyer, my question would be, what exactly does that look like? And in particular, how are violations addressed? A lot of countries have gone, they've gone through conflicts, and then they have this kind of post-conflict setup where they have different kind of arrangements to address past violations. Some of these have not been so great, and I think what's important is that there's some kind of arrangement where past violations are, looked at and addressed in a serious way, so that people don't get off scot-free. The whole transitional justice idea has gone past the notion that some people had at the beginning that we should have an overall amnesty for people who did bad things in the past. That's the only way we can have peace. No, that's the worst way to go about this. But so what exactly happens? For example, just look at the colonies in the West Bank. So say the whole place becomes one democratic state. Okay, but what happens to this? These people, you had these people, they've been driven off their land. And now we have these exclusive Jewish-only cities. Okay, well then let's make these cities. Okay, so then let's say that the colonies, anybody can live there, so Palestinians can live in the colonies too. Well, okay, but what about the economic disparity? The people who clearly the purchasing a home in the colonies is far more expensive than a lot of the Palestinians in rural areas in the West Bank will ever be able to afford. What are we looking at there? And what about the people who don't want to live in these places? These aren't so nice, aesthetically. They want their land, they want their old house. Well, what are we going to do about that? So, these kind of questions, I think, are very, they're serious questions. They can't be just poo-pooed off. I'm not saying that anybody's doing that, but I'm saying that as we talk about a one democratic state, as we talk about a one-state solution, these kind of, these issues have to be looked at, and they have to be looked at very seriously with the idea or with the aim of making sure that past violations are addressed and that people are held accountable and that people who want a remedy are able to have that remedy.